Yo, what's good, Sixer Nation? DFJ Hoops here, back again with another live stream. Hey, the 76ers bounce back against the Washington Wizards and get an impressive victory against the Washington Wizards. We got to talk about that. But hey, as y'all come in, please make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell notification icon too if you haven't already. Salute to my guy BJ. Appreciate you, bro. Says salute. Trey Young to the nation's capital. I'm so surprised. Good victory though. Yeah, that was surprising, right? That was surprising because I didn't see Washington making a move for him, but yeah, it's definitely a good victory for the 76ers as well. After that embarrassing loss against the Denver Nuggets G League team, they definitely needed to win this one. So yeah, that's definitely right. Now, I know, people are not gonna care about the victory because it's the Washington Wizards, but I feel like the Sixers took care of business and they should have did that on Monday night as well. But unfortunately, they were not able to get the victory on Monday night, and they were able to get the victory last night. So smash that like button as y'all come in. Smash that like button. Appreciate it. Now, this was an impressive victory because for number one, I felt like the big three had a good performance, right? All three of them, like Birdman said, all three of them had a very, very good game, very, very impressive game. From Paul George, Embiid, and Tyrese Maxey. I was really impressed with the effort from both sides of the floor, from start to finish, and they all had a good game, right? Now, other guys also had good performances as well. Dominic Barlow got a lot more minutes than he usually does, and he did the most. He made the most out of those minutes. So salute to him. VJ Edgecombe. Now VJ he didn't shoot the ball that good. Hold on, let me take care of this right quick. Sorry about that, y'all. But yeah, VJ didn't really have a good shooting game, but I've said this before, I'll say it again. Shooting percentages is not the only indicator to a player having a good game, right? I felt like VJ played some good defense. I think he had about what, 4 steals or 5 steals, right? So, he was playing some good defense in this game as well. But the scoring numbers, I think he made up for it with the defense, which he always does with the defense, right? So even if he shoots terribly from the field, I'm not really concerned about it because I know what he's going to give me on the other side of the floor when it comes to rebounding, you know, being a designated playmaker as well. And then also with the defense. The defense is always going to be there. So, salute to him too. And then, Quentin Grimes came off the bench. He gave you the production he gave you. And it was, very good team effort, right? Good team effort. Now I wanna switch over to the Washington Wizards for a few minutes here. Now, Washington, they got some good young players. I think Trey Johnson is definitely going to be a very, very good player in the very near future. Bilal Coulibaly, I mean, he's been impressive in these past few years. I'm surprised that he's still on the Washington Wizards. I think a team could definitely utilize his services. At the forward position, I feel like he has some good qualities about him, right? He has some good qualities about him. And I think a contender in the Western Conference could definitely utilize his services, or maybe even in the Eastern Conference, right? I feel like he's a very, very good player. And Alex Sarr didn't really he had a good game, but in the first matchup against the Washington Wizards, he was definitely having his way with Joel Embiid, and Joel looked very, very. He didn't really look good in that first matchup, right? Alex Sarr was definitely bothering him, definitely giving him fits, and I think that's that's probably one of the worst that I've seen Joel Embiid at. But last night it was a completely different story. But I mean, he still managed to give you double digit scoring performance. He also got on the glass too, and I mean it just wasn't enough for them, right? It just wasn't enough for them, and it was a 76ers night, especially with the big three playing as good as they played, along with the role players. I mean, if the Sixers show up like that, you're definitely gonna have a tougher time beating them, especially if you're the Washington Wizards, right? Now, another thing, this was the most healthiest that the Sixers have played or looked since the season started. The Sixers had Kelly Oubre and um Trendon Watford return in his game. Trendon Watford hasn't played in almost like a month and 2 weeks, right? A month and 2 weeks, or a month and a week, or whatever, right? Dealing with that. Was it a hamstring injury or whatever that is, right? And Kelly being back is definitely a good sign. Salute to my guy Nick. Appreciate you, bro. What's good, bro? What's good? What's good? Yeah, just reacting to the Sixers victory against the Wizards. Impressive victory. Taking care of business like they should have did on Monday. So yeah, that's what we're into. But having Kelly Oubre back is definitely is much needed because I feel like Kelly Oubre is the heart and soul of the Sixers, because of what he brings on both sides of the floor, offensively, defensively. Always the effort is always going to be there. He's always going to hustle. Um, and it's just he just has some good qualities about him, right? Has some good qualities about him, and I just love how he plays. He's not the most talented player on the court, but when he steps on the court, you definitely know that you're not going to outwork him, right? That's his mindset, that's his mentality every time he steps on the floor, and I'm glad to have him back. Now it's definitely going to be a tough decision for Nick Nurse. So because I alluded to this in the previous live stream that now that Kelly Oubre is back, like once he gets back to his usual self, his normal self, do you bench Dominic Barlow and insert Kelly Oubre in the starting lineup? Do you bring Kelly Oubre off the bench? So it's definitely going to be a tough decision for Nick Nurse. Trying to figure out what the rotations is going to be if Kelly Oubre doesn't end up getting traded by the trade deadline, right? And speaking of the trade deadline, he says podcast piece showed up last night. Love to see it. That means tomorrow he'll score. Hey Nick, you ignorant, bro. 7 points is crazy. But I think no, I don't think he's gonna score 7 points. I think he'll have more than that. All right, he'll definitely give you more than that. So yeah, that's for sure. Jabari Walker is trash. He gotta go. Yeah, but here's the thing though. When it comes to the trade deadline, you cannot expect to trade your trash to get somebody else's, valuable asset. That's because that's what every fan base try to do, right? They try to, they want to ship off their trash to get a better player, which doesn't end up being that way all the time. But I mean, I think at the forward position, yeah, I think Dominic Barlow is definitely me personally. I would have him stay. If it's up to me, Kelly Oubre is staying for sure. Paul George is definitely going to be here. I think Trendon Watford and Jabari Walker can get moved, right? They can get moved for a better forward. Now, I did say this on Instagram, and a lot of people were going at me, and they were saying that Maxey's the franchise player. You don't trade the franchise players as best friend or whatever. And I was like, yo, it don't matter. We're trying to improve the team, right? If we're trying to improve the team, Maxey would definitely understand that, right? If we're trying to improve the team, Max is definitely going to understand it and not, get his feelings involved in it, right? And when it comes to building teams, sometimes you're gonna have to hurt some feelings, right? But the end goal is to try to make the team better, right? And we saw that. I mean, I know this was years ago, but we saw that with the Chicago Bulls, right? Michael Jordan's best friend was Charles Oakley, but Jerry Krause shipped his ass off to New York and traded for Bill Cartwright, and that eventually made the team better. And then they ended up making history, winning 3 straight championships in a row, or whatever. So, yeah, I think Jabari Walker can definitely, get shipped off with Trent and Watford. I mean, I wouldn't mind. And then, when it comes to the Jared McCain, Jared McCain, and it kind of hurts me to say this, right? Because Jared McCain had such an impressive rookie rookie campaign, right? It got cut short by injuries or whatever. But this season he's not looking too good, dealing with the thumb issue and then also with the meniscus issue. It's not been his season this year. And I did say that, I think a sophomore slump has played a factor into it. Also, the injuries is definitely playing a part in it, right? Because Jared McCann is not athletic whatsoever. He's not athletic at all. And, not being athletic and then you're also dealing with, a knee issue. Yeah, that definitely, if your shots is not falling, that is definitely not a good sign. Right? Definitely not a good sign. Nick says you can't take Barlow out of the starting five. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. And me personally, I would say that Kelly should come off the bench. But I mean, it's a contract season for Kelly, right? So I mean, he's gonna want to get back into the starting lineup because he was a starter, right? He was a starter prior to going down with the injury. So just like any other player, like if you were starting, like Nick, if you were a starter on any team and then you got hurt, when you get back, you would expect to get back in the starting lineup, right? So I expect Kelly to feel that way. I mean, if he plays good and Nick Nurse feels like that's the best decision to go with to put him in the starting lineup, I mean, I wouldn't have any issues with it. But I just think that Dominic Barlow is just a perfect fit. Like he's just a perfect forward for the Sixers, right? In terms of, the hustle, he gets timely rebounds. He makes timely cuts. And sometimes he gets found. And I mean, if you play him enough minutes, he's definitely going to give you, he'll give you the production that he gave you. What did he give you last night? Like 11, 12, 13 points? Yeah, he gave you 11 points, right? 11.6 rebounds, right? In 23 minutes. Now, previously in the previous games, he wasn't playing a lot of minutes. I don't know if it's because of the elbow injury. That's why he was playing, limited amount of minutes. But he definitely got more minutes in last night's game than he has in a while. And I think he made the most out of it, right? He made the most out of it, in my opinion. So me personally, I think Dominic Barlow should definitely be in the starting lineup for sure. Now let me go to the big three and let's talk about the big three, right? I want to start with the process himself. I want to start with Joel do a 180, right? That's what I want to start with. I think Joel is starting to, get healthier and healthier, and he's starting to trust, the knees, right? He's starting to, play a little bit more bully ball and not just stand at the 3-point line and jack up threes every single night because that's what he was doing to start off the season. In the beginning of the season, he was just playing at the top of the key, right? Barely on the block, barely in the paint, right? Barely. And you sometimes you just go in and then you'll jab, pump fake, and then shoot his the midi. But from what I've been seeing these last few games, I think he's getting more confident. He's getting more comfortable as well. And he has no problem getting on the block, right? Has no problem getting on the block and then, overpowering his way to the basket, bullying his way to the basket, and getting those easy 2 points, especially if the other team is playing small. Because that's what Denver was doing, right? Denver was playing small. They had was it Morton, the center? I forgot his name. Robert Morton, whatever. I probably made that up, but oh my god. But yeah, when they had those small lineups in the game, like he did a very good job of punishing those mismatches. Now, Denver also was doing a good job, sending those double teams to force the ball out of his hands, but sometimes he was able to make the shot over them before the double team came, which is good, right? And then I saw in the Washington Wizards game him being comfortable, getting on the block and playing bully ball and just doing what the big man is supposed to be doing, right? Doing what the big man is supposed to be doing. And all three of them finished with 20 plus points. And I'm speaking of the big three, right? And Embiid had 20 plus points. Maxey had 20 plus points. And then Paul George, had I think it's probably his best game so far. I could be wrong, but it's definitely one of his best performances of the season. So I'm definitely gonna give him credit for that. And me personally, I think he should be involved more in the offense, right? He should be involved more and not just relegated to the corner. I think you should utilize him and Joel Embiid together in the pick and roll. Just see what looks that can give you because Paul is definitely a capable playmaker too. Now he's not as fast, he's not as quick as he once was, right? But I think that if you have him in the pick and roll and you have him that comfortable in the offense, like he can definitely give you more than just stand in the corner and you'll shoot threes. I mean, he's what he had 5 assists last night, right? He had 5. VJ had 7. Maxi had eight assists too. So Paul is definitely a capable playmaker. So I think that's something that Nick Nurse has to give a try, right? I haven't seen him that much in the pick and roll this season with Embiid, but just try it. Let's see what it looks like, right? And um, if it's something that could be successful down the line, you go to it more often because the Maxi and Embiid pick and roll at some point in the play, if the Sixers make the playoffs, at some point the teams are going to figure it out, right? Teams are going to figure it out, especially with Embiid getting us healthier and setting those good screens, getting Maxi wide open. Teams will definitely figure that out. So you definitely want to have counters to that, right? You want to definitely have counters to that. So, he says McCain is a goner. Nah, I don't. I mean, me personally, I don't think the Sixers should move Jared McCain because I think Q Dot is leaving in the offseason, right? I think Quentin Grimes is going to leave this offseason. I think other teams are going to pay him more than what the Sixers can offer him, so he's definitely going to take that offer. So next season, if you have a much healthier Jared McCain in his third season and not in no sophomore slump, I think he's definitely going to be better. I think he's definitely going to be better. So. Um, yeah, he's no, no, not at all. I disagree. So yeah. But yeah, Joel Embiid finished with 28 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 blocks. Now, Joel Embiid had some, he's had some of his best performances against the Washington Wizards. I think like 2 seasons ago, he'll just play in just 3 quarters and just, drop 50 on the Washington Wizards or drop 45 against them. Right. But we know he's not that caliber anymore. I mean, he's trying to get back to that level of player, that level of play, but I think it's still gonna take more. And I think the Sixers have more capable players on this team than they did 2 seasons ago. So Joel Embiid doesn't have to carry that offensive load. But I still think he's still getting better, more confident and comfortable. And that's definitely a good sign, right? It's definitely a good sign. And if he's looking like this on most nights, yeah, it would definitely make Maxi's night much easier, right? It'll make Maxi's nights much, much easier because the defense won't have to focus solely on Tyrese Maxey because Joel Embiid he's also a threat on the floor. So Maxey can kill you with the burst of speed, with the shooting ability, and Maxey's one of the best shooters in the league, right? He's one of the best shooters in the game. I don't know whatever you want to go off of. He's one of the best shooters in the game. Off a catch and shoot, off the dribble, coming off a screen, he does all of it, right? He's attempting what 8 threes, 9 threes a game. So he definitely has the volume, right? He definitely has the volume, and he's shooting it at a very, very impressive percentage. I don't know what his percentage is this season, but yeah, Maxi's averaging what 30 points a game this season. Let me go to the shooting split. So yeah, 41% from the 3-point line on nine attempts. So come on, Maxi's definitely one of the best shooters in the game. So I give Maxi his props. The Maxi fans think I don't give him his props. The Maxi fans think I'm a Joel Embiid fan, which that's not the case. I'm a Sixer fan, right? So whoever I want all of them to succeed, right? I want all of them to succeed. I want all of them to perform at a high level because if they succeed and they perform at a high level, guess what? The Sixers will be successful too. So that's how I look at it, right? That's how I look at it. Now, another surprising thing was Andre Drummond finally got some minutes in this game, right? He got some minutes in this game because Adem Bona didn't really have a good performance, good show in this one, and I hope this could be the game where maybe Nick Nurse decides to utilize him more. And I'm speaking of Drummond, and just give him opportunities too, because I don't want the Sixers to move off Drummond, and especially not to the New York Knicks, right? Especially not to the New York Knicks, because that's definitely gonna be a bad joint. You don't send one of your assets to your rivals, right? We're not the Brooklyn Nets. No pun intended, right? No pun intended. But Andre Drummond, he got in the game. I think he had like what 12 points off the bench. No, 11. Yeah, 11 points. He had 11 points. Not too many rebounds. I mean, if you give him more minutes, I mean, definitely the numbers is gonna look different. But yeah, Andre Drummond had a good game, and then Q Dot came off the bench. I think he gave you 16 points, which was that was definitely good too. Now the Sixers were in control of this game from start to finish. I felt like the Sixers should have led, and the Washington Wizards were not supposed to lead at any point in this game, right? But at some point, the Washington Wizards took the lead, and the Sixers, the Sixers got the lead back, and then they played from there, and they eventually won the game, right? So good performance all around, from start to finish. From the best players, the best players led, from start to finish, and then the role players were in pursuit, right? Trendon Watford got some minutes too in this one. He played only 4 minutes, but I think he might get moved, right? Trendon Watford might end up getting moved, and yeah, that's just the business of basketball. That's how it goes. So um yeah, but I want to talk about the trade for a few minutes here because it was very, very surprising. Because prior to the game, they rolled out CJ McCollum, they rolled out a few other players, and later on, I got the notification that these two teams are working out a trade. So at first, I thought it was not going to happen on that same night because the game was happening, the Sixers were playing. I mean, the Wizards were playing the Sixers. right? And then the Atlanta Hawks also had a game going on downtown ATL, right? And it ended up happening. And prior to the game, they rolled out CJ McCollum, they rolled out a couple of other players, and then the trade gets finalized, and then Trey Young gets moved to the Washington Wizards for CJ McCollum, Corey Kispert, and I don't think they added any picks or whatever, right? And what makes it a little bit shocking is that Trey Young is on an expiring contract. So if you're the Washington Wizards, I don't know what your plan is. Maybe you're trying to get off players. I mean, expiring contracts are they're seen as valuable because the next season it comes off the books. So I don't know if Trey Young is gonna leave this off season and join another team or sign an extension with the Washington Wizards. Now, I don't think the Washington Wizards are going to give him probably what he's looking for. I mean, he's probably looking for a bag, right? Which, I mean, why not? I mean, Trey Young he's been productive these last couple seasons. He's been a 28 and 9, 29 and 10 guy, right? Leading the league in assists, getting high numbers. So, if he's asking for a bag, you can't really fault him for that. But if you're the Washington Wizards, like what's the plan for it? Like what's the move for it? Because I mean, you're building through the draft. You got Alex Sarr, you got Trey Johnson, you got some good role players around them. You got some veterans around them as well. I mean, Chris Middleton is on the team, right? Chris Middleton is on the team. I think the second pick from 2018 is still Marvin Bagley. He's still on the team too. So you got some good you got some good veteran players on the team. So I don't know what the plan is, right? If they think Trey Young could be their point guard moving forward, I mean that's good. But I mean, can Trey Young lead you to the playoffs? Probably so, right? Could he lead you to the conference finals? I mean, he's done it before, but to do it from Washington is definitely gonna be it's gonna be very, very tough. Right? It's gonna be very, very tough. So, I mean, I don't know what Trey Young's plans are, right? I don't know what his plans are. So that will be yet to be seen. That's yet to be seen. I mean, but yeah, it was definitely a shocking trade, and I hope there are more. I think there might be a few more shocking trades before the trade deadline, right? There might be a few of them, and I think I think CJ McCollum will definitely help out the Atlanta Hawks, right? CJ is definitely a veteran. He's been in the postseason before multiple times. He's made a deep postseason run, so he knows what it takes. I mean, as a second option, he knows what it takes to get there. So I think he's definitely going to help with the development of Jalen Johnson and those other guys. So now Atlanta is building the team around Jalen Johnson, which is a good thing, right? It's definitely a good thing. I'm really high on Jalen Johnson. He's definitely going to make his first All Star appearance this season. So, congrats to him. But will the Hawks make the playoffs? Will they make a deep postseason run? I don't know. But I think this is definitely a good trade for them for the Hawks. It's definitely a good trade for them. And you got something for Trey Young, right? You got good assets for him, right? And that's where they go from here, right? This is where they go from here. But um let me get back on the Sixers and talk about this and just end it right here. So the Sixers next few games, they take on the Orlando Magic on Friday night and then take on the Toronto Raptors and back-to-back nights, and then that'll be it for the Sixers against the Raptors for this season. They played 2 times already, so the next 2 games you know, it'll wrap everything up for the season. I mean, the Raptors are a good team. The Orlando Magic are also a good team as well. So the Sixers will have to approach those 3 games. They're gonna have to approach it differently, and go into those games with a different mindset in order to win those games, right? The Sixers are the 5th seed in the Eastern Conference. The Orlando Magic is behind them. The Cleveland Cavaliers is behind them, and the Miami Heat is also behind them too. So, these 3 games will definitely be very, very helpful if they can get all 3 victories, right? Because it might put them over The Toronto Raptors. And the Raptors have been a good team. And I think I saw that Brandon Ingram got injured. I don't know how true that is. I don't know how serious that is. If he did get hurt, wish him a speedy recovery. But yeah, the Sixers are gonna have to take care of business because the last matchup against the Raptors, they lost, right? They lost the last one. So against Orlando, they definitely have to come out um and play with aggression from start to finish. Paul George is going to have to perform just as he performed last night. And Maxi is definitely going to do his thing, and Embiid is going to do his thing too. But I want to see what Embiid looks like when he goes up against the Orlando Magic because Orlando got those big ass tall players, right? The Jonathan Isaacs, the Goga Batadze, they got the trees, right? They got the trees, Paolo, Franz, all those guys. They got the tree. So I want to see what he looks like against those players because they definitely got the defenders. They got the personnel for him in the paint. So I want to see how he approaches that game. If he is he gonna, go to the block as often as he has, these past few games and make a living there, or is he gonna take a different approach and just stand in the 3 point line and just launch 3 pointers from there? Right. I'm definitely waiting for that. And then also, how is Maxi gonna come out in that game, and how is Paul George gonna play in that game? Right. I think the first matchup, Maxi played a very, very good game. Maxi and VJ Edgecombe, along with Quentin Grimes, those guys played very, very good, and the Sixers ended up winning. Right. So I expect it to be something similar, right? And especially with the Sixers being healthy, it should be, this it should be a very competitive game, and the Sixers should be looking to win that. I don't know if the Sixers are going to be home. Hold on, let me check this out right quick. 1 second, y'all. Yeah, so the Sixers are going to be. Yeah, it's a road game. So yeah, it's definitely going to be tough. They beat the Magic at home, right? So now they got to go on the road and then prove it on the road as well too. So yeah, it's definitely going to be difficult. I think last season, those matchups. I mean, Orlando beat the Sixers 3 times. I think they played them 4 times, and they beat the Sixers 3 times, and then the Sixers beat them once. So this season, I think it should be something different, and the Sixers have to approach it differently too. And I think Nick Nurse's, his rotations have to make sense, right? Because sometimes some of his rotations don't make sense at all. Right now, I don't want to put him on the spot as much because the Sixers won, but it was some questionable lineups in this game that I kept asking myself like, what's the goal? Like, what's the point of this lineup, right? And I think everybody else has those questions too. But the Sixers won, so I'm not even gonna focus on that. I'm gonna just give Nick Nurse his props for getting his team ready to take on the Washington Wizards and also getting the victory too, right? But those questions, I definitely have those questions. And with the Magic playing as good as they've been playing, you know, I think he's gonna have to make some smarter rotation decisions against them, right? Because the Magic they got the personnel, like they got big, tall players. If you go in there with a small ball mindset, you might end up in a tough spot. But the last few games from the Orlando Magic, against Brooklyn, they beat the Brooklyn Nets. They lost to wow, I didn't even know that. They lost to the Washington Wizards. They lost to the Chicago Bulls. They beat the Pacers twice, and they lost to Toronto too. Mm, that's interesting. That is so interesting. So, um, yeah, I'm just looking forward to that. Looking forward to that game and how the Sixers will approach it. Um, if they're gonna have the same mindset against the Washington Wizards in that game, right? But yeah, I think that's everything. I didn't want to do a deeper dive, deeper live into this in this one because I know what the I know what people are gonna say. Oh, you're celebrating the Sixers win against the Washington Wizards. Yeah, because I remember I did one, and it was against it was against a bad team. I forgot what team it was, and people were like, "Are you serious? Like, give it praising the Sixers for beating this team." I mean, a win is a win. If they would have lost, y'all would have y'all would be saying something different. So when they win, I gotta give them their props too. So yeah, yeah, I think that's everything. I think my last one of the last things is hopefully Jerry McCain can get that one signature game and then play very very well because I think at this point that's the only thing missing. I know it's going to be difficult, it's going to be tough, coming off the bench and trying to find a rhythm and not playing too many minutes. It's definitely going to be tough, right? It's going to be tough. But if he continues to play this way and the Sixers don't move him, he will eventually fall out the rotation, right? Because you know it's just at this point. I mean, I think excuse me. I think Nick Nurse is trying to gauge what the rotation is going to look like if the Sixers are going to make the playoffs. And the rotation, I mean, it gets short, right? 8, 9, maybe 10 players. So if you got the starting five, right? We know for a fact Quentin Grimes is going to be playing, right? So if Quentin Grimes is in there, who's your who's your forward? Who's your center? If it's an 8-man rotation, who's your forward? Who's your center? Right. So if Quentin Grimes gets the nod, then Jared McCain is definitely out the he's definitely out the rotation. Right. So then it just depends on, who the other guys are gonna be. Will it be Oubre and Adembona? Will it be Oubre and Drummond? Like who is it gonna be? Right. So I think and also I mean, Nick Nurse has to determine what the starting lineup is gonna look like. Now I think the starting lineup right now should be fine, right? With the four guys already, and then Dominic Barlow. I think that should be the go-to starting five, and then have Quentin Grimes off the bench, Oubre off the bench, and then me personally, I would rather you have Andre Drummond and Adembona together. So that's your 9-man rotation right there. That's just me, but maybe Nick Nurse is thinking about something different. Maybe he's looking down. He sees far ahead than I do. So I mean, who knows? But that's just my suggestions. That's just my take. I know people are gonna criticize my takes regardless. But people that criticize my takes don't even put their takes out there for me to criticize. And it's just weird because it's just certain people they only want to criticize your takes, but they don't want to put their takes out there to get scrutinized. And it's just like, oh, what are we doing, bro? Right? What are we doing? But I think that's everything. What you call there's still room for improvement. For everybody, right? For everybody. VJ Embiid, Paul George. There's still room for improvement for every player, right? Even Maxi, right? Even Maxi. Sometimes the decisions he makes out there, the reads in real time that he's making. I feel like those could also get improved too. Right. So a win against the Washington Wizards, yeah, it's not the end all be all. I mean, hell, a win against the Knicks is not the end all be all. Right. We want to see consistency in those wins. We want to see consistency in the level of play. We want to see consistency in the production. Right. So I think that's what it comes down to. But I'm just glad the Sixers are getting healthy. And I think from now to the All Star break is what's going to determine whether the Sixers are going to be contenders or not, right? From now to the All Star break is what's going to I think it's going to make or break the Sixers because I think the month of January is a tough month for them. Hold on, let me go to this. Let me go to the Sixers schedule right quick. And yeah, I appreciate y'all for being here. Smash that like button if y'all haven't already. So Orlando, Toronto twice, Cleveland twice, and the Indiana Pacers, the Phoenix Suns, the Houston Rockets, the New York Knicks, Charlotte, Milwaukee, Sacramento, and then New Orleans. So that's a challenge right there, in my opinion. Right, that's a challenge. I mean, considering they beat the Dallas Mavericks already, they beat the Knicks already, and they beat the Washington Wizards. So they're 3-1 in the month of January, and it's one, two, three. Yeah, it's three back to backs in the month. So, um, how they approach it, how they play, the consistency, that's what's going to determine whether they're going to be contenders or not, right? And we know in those three games already, Joel Embiid is not going to play in one of them, right? We can already we could already determine that he's not going to play in those back to back. So, um, yeah, I really I'm just waiting. I am just waiting for the game against Cleveland. Like that's the game I'm patiently waiting for. Right, I want to see how they approach the Cleveland Cavalier game because the first matchup, the Sixers got totally destroyed, was a blowout. That's probably their first or their only blowout loss this season. I could be wrong, but that's the only blowout loss that I remember. Right. Um. Yeah. Pretty much. Now at the with the box score right here, it says they lost by 9, but at some point in the game, they were down by 20, 25. Right? They were down big. It was only until the Cavs, they emptied out the bench, and then the Sixers bench made a run, right? And they cut it to 9. But it was definitely a blowout loss. Definitely a blowout loss. But yeah, I think that's everything. Good win for the Sixers. Good performance by the big three. Hopefully this will be the first of many to come, right? Hopefully this will be the first of many, and the Sixers can, I think the blueprint was from yesterday, right? Seeing how they play, and I think I don't think anybody stepped on anybody's toes in terms of the shots. I mean, Embiid didn't play a lot of minutes. He only let me see how many shots he attempted. So so Paul George had 11, Embiid had 14. VJ Edgecombe at 13, and then Maxi at 15. So not, it's very, very close in terms very, very close in terms of shot attempts. And I think it was a balanced production right there. Balanced attack right there. Right. So yeah, that's definitely good. Definitely good. A good sign from the victory. Now Paul George did at his post game on the post game interview, he did say that Maxi and Embiid are the best players on the team, and then he's kind of like taking a backseat. So he's already conceded to the third option role, which players don't typically do that because sometimes these players have egos and they want to get their numbers, right? Sometimes they don't feel that way and they want to get their numbers. So I'm glad he's conceding to the fact and taking a backseat for those two guys because maybe those two guys are better than he is. I mean, I don't know about Embiid because Embiid is a wild card, but Maxi for sure. Maxi for sure. Right, I'll definitely put Maxi over Paul George. Like the production matters, right? The production absolutely matters. So but yeah, I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Appreciate y'all. Appreciate y'all. Good victory once again. Good team performance. Good performance from the victory. And I've been seeing that they're calling the Sixers a big four. They're putting VJ Edgecombe into it, calling the big four. It's not a big four. VJ hasn't put in enough work to earn that. Right? He's having a good rookie campaign. Yeah, we all agree. But a big four, no. No. You gotta get some all-star selections under your belt to be called that, right? You gotta get some all-star selections under your belt. You need some all NBA honors under your belt. Now I got a question. Is it crazy to say that VJ deserves some all NBA defensive considerations? Because I think he does. at least second team, right? At least second team. I think he definitely he definitely deserves some consideration. Now, will he make it or not? Maybe, probably not, because maybe the veterans probably have a bigger name than he does, and they got the vote and recognition. So, he probably wouldn't get that nod. But I think he should be considered for sure. Now we know he's gonna make the rookie team. That's certain. Is he gonna win rookie of the year? I don't know, but the rookie team, he's definitely gonna make it, right? So, yeah, if he makes the all defensive team, yeah, that's definitely a good sign. Uh, Definitely a good recognition, right? And it rewards his consistency on the defensive side of the floor, right? So that's that. But I think, yeah, I touched on everything. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Salute to BJ, salute to Nick that stopped by to listen to what I had on this game. Yeah, I appreciate y'all for tuning in. I'm gonna catch you guys on the next one. Peace.